We're just out here helping all those humble, defenseless townsfolk. Because we're V'ger Please, a heinous trip at Warp 5. My name is Joseph.
And I'm ready to go back to Klindathu, your co-host, Peter.
A few things before we launch into this week's episode. First, we just want to give one of our periodic shout-outs to the creative team behind all of our theme songs. That is Ian and Sarah. They've made one for Voyager. They made one using the inner light flute that we used for Picard and a few other things. And I'm sorry, the theme song that they made for our Enterprise reviews never gets old. So thank you guys. 2, in case you missed it, we have a merch store. Yes, really. I know, right? There's only going to be like 20 sales ever, but you could be one of them. All you have to do is go to zephus.store, ZEAFUS.store, buy a mug, buy a sticker. It's basically done at cost. We're not trying to make money, but if you want something to commemorate your following along on this journey, help yourself. I know I did. A couple other people did. We actually got some pictures of people wearing like merch and that sort of thing and showing off what they got. So that's cool.
I love the merch pictures. And maybe it's something we have to have a vote on later, the same we had to vote about whether or not a certain someone could be our legal oversight. But I think if anybody gets a picture of one of the V'ger Please stickers in a real inconvenient space for someone else, we should make it our profile picture for the group.
I'm not saying vandalize anything.
I'm saying vandalize something.
Peter is saying vandalize something, to be clear.
Get those stickers on people's side views and mirrors.
I am not, but Peter is. But I'm not.
Speaking of the precious few who have actually purchased the merchandise, we had an entire whole human being give us positive feedback on the trivia card bit. So, Joe.
Hold on. You got to save that bit for a second.
Oh.
Because I am not done shilling for us.
Really?
We got a Patreon too, bruh. We just put content on it too. Come on, man. You were there. You recorded it.
I'm not on it, though. I don't.
You don't actually. You don't contribute to it. That's why I don't ever give you the episodes on Patreon. As my passive-aggressive way of punishing you. But if you're a better person than Peter, and frankly, you are, whoever you are, you can check us out at patreon.com/VegerPlease. We just did our review of Strange New Worlds, Season 1.
That was a good one.
And I think we had a really good discussion about the whole picture of what does it represent that the show isn't garbage. You know, we went through some of what's the highs, what are the lows, what works, what didn't. That all was good. But also, how did we get here? Like, how did this finally happen? And what does it mean? So if you're interested in that, check that out. It costs you like $3. Now we can do a bit. Bring on the bit, Peter. We got positive feedback. Bring it on.
You got us talking this Patreon thing. I got an idea for Patreon coming up this month since it's October.
Oh, what's that?
I want to ride that Jeffrey Combs connection, and I want to watch Reanimator.
Oh, that's a good idea. That's a really good idea.
I've never seen it before. I've always meant to, and I think 'tis the season.
You know what? We've only ever done one other like off-topic review of anything, and it was Tank Girl. So I think we need to wash that stank out of our mouth.
Not necessarily horror genre, but horrible.
I someday I might let human beings other than paying customers listen to that Tank Girl review because it is like us describing an extremely terrible dream.
I'll tell you, maybe if we get enough good sticker pictures, that'll be like
that's it. We'll unlock that content if we get enough people vandalizing things with merch because that's what Peter wants you to do.
That's the true credit of the 24th century. We've gotten rid of money. It's now about the new currency is vandalism and currying social favor. You know, I just finished Orville season 3. And again, how I sit here and watch these fucking Enterprise episodes, and there's such good other real TV out there. There was a huge chunk of the last episode of the season, and it's dedicated to detailing the currency of the future in terms of like status and what life is like in a post-scarcity society, and it just touches so many of the fucking talking points that we've had, and I'm like, this is amazing. It's my that is my new headcanon for everything Berman era. I'm not necessarily willing to afford it to Picard or
How do they handle it on the show?
Exactly that. Like, you don't have to work. You fucking watch this thing and find it, and then let's talk about it. And basically, you don't have to work, but if you just lay around all day living off the fat of the land, it's heavily frowned on. And yeah, they get a little bit more intricate and
people give you shit over it.
Yeah, and just there is status comes into play for decisions. But all right, bit time. You ready to go to the
bit time?
The bit dungeon.
Let's do it. Let us dip all the way down to the lowest common denominator. Bit me.
All right. So again, this is all about trivia. The Star Trek, the original series Trivies game. I don't know who the fuck made this thing. These are some malicious questions.
I mean, I only got the first one on the list right last time. The second one, it was like some random crew member ever had one line. Like, well,
just wait for this card, and I'm just peeling off the top here. The blue question. What creature did Korax think bore a strong resemblance to Captain Kirk in The Trouble with Tribbles?
I have no idea. Some random line from a goddamn Klingon captain, at the beginning of the episode.
It's a Danebian slime devil.
You Danebian slime devil?
You Danebian slime devil, you. I'm going to keep... I know the rule is we go until you get one wrong.
Nah,
just to show you how crazy it gets from there. So maybe you remember what a Danebian slime devil is.
Yeah.
The next one, green, which is green must be fuck you in this game. What is the star date of Kirk's final log entry as captain of the Starship Enterprise in the Undiscovered Country?
Yeah, no. Who fucking knows that?
I know a lot about Star Trek that I am not proud of, but I can say that I'm bad enough at space math that I would never tell you the fucking star date for anything. Anything.
Yeah, you have to be obsessive compulsive to a degree that I dare not contemplate to memorize star dates for captain's logs, because they're not even internally consistent within the shows. It's a detail that would only be memorized by someone who just has so much room in their brain going to waste. You just might as well put crap like they're in there. I have disdain for anyone who knows the answer to that question. That's what I'm saying. Not only do I not know the answer to that question, I am proud to not know it, and I'm proud to say that I don't think anyone who does know it.
They also like their Trouble with Tribbles. All right, whatever. This card bores me. Let's get into some real shit to hate on here. Season 2, Episode 6, Marauders.
I have this theory that at this point, I feel like Enterprise writers have this idea, and then they have a nap at some point, like a third of the way through writing their idea, and they wake back up and they have to finish their script, and then they just half-ass the ending and just get it done as quickly as possible, and just don't ever fill out the details, and then they're like, okay, here it is, now shoot that. And that's how we wind up with these things.
I feel like it's they forgot that the script was due, and then the teacher makes them get up in front of the class and go, okay, present your idea. And it is a terrible idea, and nobody else in the class is paying attention, and the teacher is drunk and says, okay, now here's $1 million, go make that.
Maybe they got drunk and watched The Magnificent Seven, and we're like, we could do that. We could do a whole thing where Enterprise shows up to a prairie village that's getting, marauded by space pirates. We'll make them Klingons, and they have to help the townspeople learn to defend themselves against the Klingons. That premise is okay. Derivative, of course, from a movie that's also based on a different movie, Seven Samurai, but fine. That's a classic of Western genre. Star Trek is supposed to be a successor to the Western genre in its own respect. So it's kind of a go back to your roots type of thing, like literally do a Western story. That all works. That's fine. That's a fine frame to put an episode of Enterprise specifically into. And then you just do nothing to make it work in a way that's compelling.
Not even that. It's just, this is a fucking stupid, awful episode.
It is stupid, is what it is. It is stupid. That is...
The premise is weak. The execution is awful. This is a teleplay by David Wilcox, story by Rick Berman and Bran Braga, directed by Mike Veiger. We open up in Starship Troopers, right?
This is Clendathu, yeah.
Everything about the little village that we're going to see looks like it was the training boot camp of Starship Troopers. We've got Matt Damon doing his best Solid Snake with a headband wrapped around him. He's appearing to work on some sort of an oil rig.
I don't know if this is something that they set up around existing old oil rigs in the Southern California desert, because that used to be a thing. There was a lot of oil rigs in that area. So, there's some of it on some studio property somewhere, and they've just set up these little, like, bullshit sci-fi town around it and make it look like, quote, industrial things, end quote, right? Do whatever you want. But they do a nice little panning shot. Like, the cinematography of this episode's not terrible, and some of the choices they make and how they shoot it. And I found it a clever touch here that you're seeing them see Enterprise's shuttle pod land from their perspective as they have to speculate on what it is. Like, oh God, is that who we were expecting? No. Who are they? What are they here for? Clearly, Enterprise did not phone ahead.
No, Enterprise did phone ahead, but all their communications...
They give the impression that they didn't phone ahead in this part of the scene. We'll find out later what actually happened, but in this setup, it's like they're just showing up and they're not happy to be seen. And it's interesting to see that from basically from the NPC's perspective in the town.
Watching the shuttle pods come down from the sky, I have to say that I'm very disappointed that we are still using this visual style of shuttle pod. Like, I get the kind of retro Twinkie looking oblong whatever in season 1, but I thought for season 2 there had to be some sort of refresh. That was the sad thing to me about Voyager. It was the same look the entire time through. They switched over to the new Dominion War tricorders and phaser styles inexplicably between whatever seasons, maybe 2 to 3.
Yeah, whenever they got made for DS9, they had extra props made and they just used them on Voyager.
On Enterprise, I know their jumpsuits got a little deeper blue, not that I ever noticed. But I think if there's anything that really needs to get cleaned up, because they're using that shuttle pod so frequently, like, have them get retrofitted with something that looks at least a little bit cooler.
The big reset they wanted to do for the show in terms of its visual look was going to be at the beginning of season 5. Whoopsie daisy.
Moops.
So the episode...
And again, it's bullshit episodes like this that help establish why that season 5 isn't going to happen.
The episode begins proper with Archer, T'Pol, and Trip showing up and being like, hey, what's going on? Understand you sell that tasty deuterium.
Let's refine that comment. We've got Trip, we've got Archer in their classic desert crossing debacle, I don't know, Under Armour fucking football shirts or whatever.
Yes.
And then you got T'Pol in what I can only call her silver screen disco outfit.
It is very odd. It's a very new uniform for her. It is white.
It is fucking shiny white with bell bottoms. Surprise, surprise, it's skin tight. And whereas the other guys look, kind of military, hey, we're in the desert. Like, she just sticks out. I mean, It's not. It's nowhere near the level of exploitation and booby centric as things we have seen in the very recent future. But it's fucking absurd. It is the most illogical outfit possible for this situation.
Absent some kind of dialogue that explains it as like microfibers that reflect sunlight, because it's like something that got cooked up on Vulcan, which is a desert planet.
No, here's a logical way to explain that. I'm sorry, but the wash machines are broken, and this is the only thing I had left.
So
My Vulcan leisure suit.
they show up, they want to buy space gas, and the space gas dealers say, no, fuck off, we don't have any, check back with us later. And Archer, because he's Captain Manchild, gets petulant over the fact that these guys won't fucking deal, and he turns into a space Karen. And before the guy could tell him to fuck off a second time, his second in command is like, these guys seem like they're technically competent. I'm going to drop that we need help fixing our oil rigs for space gas because they're broken and we can't fix them. And
do they ever explicitly say that the engineers who were in charge of maintaining the equipment that is the focal point of their entire existence were part of the slaughter 3 years ago?
No, they don't mention anything about the identity of those people aside from one of them was the father of the kid.
Ridiculous to believe that they are out there doing this and nobody knows how to fix the equipment, but the least of the sins this episode's responsible for. But they're right. Florida Man does know his way around an oil derrick.
He does, and believably so. You know, we've seen him have an interest in adapting his knowledge into other forms of technology in the past. And he volunteers to help fix the oil rigs, which would permit Archer to potentially make a deal with the lead alien, a guy by the name of Tessic, to buy space gas off of him. Which they do a little bargaining where they want a lot, and Arch trying to argue him down, and eventually they cop to a need for medical supplies, and they strike a bargain.
For the record, up to this point, the episode's pretty interesting, right? It's a solid concept. I like the idea that, much the same way Voyager, when they would, hey, we are here because you have the thing we need, and now we're going to get involved in nonsense because we need that thing.
This plot is super elemental to the kind of frontier storytelling that this show is trying to do. It's Seven Samurai, Magnificent Seven, so Ronin samurai defending an isolated village. Desperado mercenary cowboys defending a defenseless village. It was even an episode of the fucking Mandalorian, which is Star Wars and is as a Western. Same shit. Like Mandalorian and Gina Carano's character help train up a village to defend themselves against the AT, that comes out of the swamp. It looks like a monster.
It's dope.
It's great. Like, this story is something that is pretty perfect for Enterprise to do in some fashion. And even the idea of like, let's train the colonists to defend themselves against the Klingons is not itself a terrible idea if you frame it up the right way.
Well, therein lies the devil of the details.
But yeah, the problem is after this first act, they just the quality level of their ability to coherently deliver on this idea starts to decline on a fucking linear rate. Like, just falls off and keeps going down until it hits the fucking end.
These aliens, by the way, pretty gruesome. Not because like they've got extra eyes or they're made out of cum, but they're just regular dudes. But this time, the shit glued to their forehead are like I don't know, extra nostrils with hair growing out of them. Very unsettling for me to look at. Very hard for me to establish sympathy for these people with their nose hair growing out like this.
So many sinus infections.
Yeah, sinus infections in that everywhere. Arid desert heat. Ugh. Man.
No good.
So here's what's going on at this place, and we will get hints of this quickly as one of the new bargaining conditions is we need medical supplies real bad. This Deuterian mining outfit is basically, I don't know, enslaved for all intents and purposes by some Klingon assholes who come by at the top of the season. And I don't know, do you remember that Pixar, was it Pixar or was it DreamWorks that did A Bug's Life?
Bug's Life was Pixar.
Yeah, and then like Kevin Spacey, before he got canceled, would come in as the lead grasshopper and just steal all the bees' honey or whatever.
Yeah, these guys
What year
are...
did that come out?
These guys are the bandits that... that came out before Toy Story, didn't it?
I don't know, man. Maybe that's where this came... Maybe Memory Alpha's wrong and this isn't Seven Samurai. This is them ripping off Bug's Life.
So the Klingons are the outlaws, and they show up and they raid the town. 98, Jesus. There's getting dated, and there's getting dated 24 years ago. And the colonists don't feel like they can really fight back against them. They have them outnumbered 10-1, as is noted to them after they start to complain to Enterprise about the problems they're having.
The colonists outnumber the Klingons. There's only 8
Correct.
Klingons, I believe.
Yeah, there's like 80 of them. And, well, the last time they showed up, they tried to rush them, and then they just got a bunch of them killed. And then they killed a few more just to prove a point because, they're trained warriors and we're a bunch of very limp-wristed people who are not fighters. So we don't know what to do. So
let's real quick clarify there. They killed 3, right?
Yes.
And then after they quelled the miners' little uprising, they executed another 4 more miners, including, like you said, the father of a little boy who I'm going to make a motion to the floor that I propose we do not discuss the child at all.
No, he serves no purpose. He might as well not be here.
That is
motion
now
carries.
ratified.
Motion carries.
Oh, I got to brush up on my Roberts rules. That was sloppy. So these Klingons are some real assholes. And we will get a little bit more detail that basically once the Klingons come through and take their cut, the mining outfit is able to extract a few gallons more before the winter comes. And that stuff is like the nasty leftover backwash that is very hard to refine. And the Klingons are basically bleeding these dudes dry.
The problem with the way they described the threat was that they just made themselves so impossibly weak that it made it almost comedic. Like, we can't beat them because they just beat us up and then kill us. No. In this story premise, in every other version it's done, either the force is so overwhelming that clearly assistance is required, like, say, in the version they did for Mandalorian, or for, say, the Magnificent Seven, the opposing force has firepower and numbers sufficient that they cannot be easily overwhelmed just by a mass charge, right? Like, these guys would kill a lot of people if you tried to take them down. And making them only 7 and making them so, like, passive, or the opposing force being, like, not even 7, like 5 dudes. Like, yeah, you really could just beat them up with pipes the next time they show up and just call it a day. And bury their fucking bodies.
The miners. The miners need to be old men who are in really bad shape. They need to be pacifists that have sworn some sort of weird oath where it's extremely taboo or against their religion to do violence. They need to be radically alien, where they are just not built for fighting and they're going to get fucking rocked by anybody. But making them, for all intents and purposes, a bunch of, the way they look, just a bunch of Texan blue-collar oiled field guys. It's ridiculous to believe that these guys can't swing a wrench and bust a Klingon over the head.
Yeah, like, how are you guys so completely helpless to the idea of violence? You do real work. You're actual laborers.
Do something where they've got shock collars, that they were actually enslaved, that they are being starved, and the Klingons control their food intake. So, like, again, you've got that enfeebled.
Or make more Klingons show up. Make the force bigger.
That
If
too.
it's 15 guys, okay. 15 armed professional warriors versus 80, mixed between men and women, civilians, that's too much to handle,
Or, hey, their attack ship is up in orbit and they will fire on us and we cannot fight that. We might be able to take a couple guys on the ground, but it's the captain on the ship targeting us from orbit that there's no way for us to fight against. There's a lot of different ways to handle this. The writer room explored none of them, and the episode is going to suffer greatly as a result.
Yeah, this is where the downward trend starts. Is when the Klingons show up, and the explanation for why the miners are in this position is as low effort as it possibly could have been for the writers.
This might as well have been a episode of Thundercats, by the way. Like, that's how fucking simplistic and
just from this point forward, there is interesting texture going on up until this, like with the premise. It becomes so simple as if to be a Saturday morning cartoon.
Absolutely. And I think there's probably going to be some sort of a Captain Planet dig I can make here, but I'm going to have to work for it because the good guys are technically the ones stripping resources. There is a good scene I like prior to the Klingons showing up where the lady, who I'm assuming is their medic, is the medical supplies from Phlox and is just amazed at how well stocked they are and extremely appreciative of the auto suture gift that Phlox gives her. Phlox is being a real gentleman. I didn't know if they're going to start going in like a romance angle here. And Phlox does a little bit of digging, like, why are you so bad off? You're basically asking me for battlefield supplies, which I don't think should apply to deuterium mining. But she shies away, and that's kind of like the plot shadowing that there's a violent component to all this. But unfortunately, I don't get much more screen time. The Klingons show up 2 days early, right? That's the agreement. You fix our pumps. We're going to give you your gas, but you need to get the fuck out of here within 2 days, because in 2 days, Hopper and the rest of the grasshoppers are coming to get their cut of our pollen. You need to get out of here. Otherwise, they're going to think that we're selling stuff on the side. It's going to be ugly for us. The Klingons show up 2 days early. The Klingon ship looks pretty fucking cool.
Yeah, I like that it had like a bunch of tanks on the outside.
Mm-hmm. We're going to find out that this isn't a bird of prey or any other badass thing. This is basically a cargo container.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a freighter. And this is a basically a protection racket without the protection.
I thought it was cool that the Klingons just transport down. They don't fuck with shuttle pods. Klingons ain't afraid to die. Klingons ain't afraid to lose their soul.
They show up and they're like, all right, throw us a feast and give us our gas, and no one gets hurt.
The Klingons are good bullies. They're stupid, but the portrayal of the bullying is interesting, where it's this shitty friendship. Ah, my old friend, there you are. I'm going to give you a rough hug. Come show us your hospitality. My men are hungry. Wine us, dine us. We want to have a feast. I'm sure I'm going to finger bang your wife or something else unsavory, maraudery. But leader hair nose guy, he's got bad news. Our pumps have been down and we have not been able to hit the quota just yet. We're working real hard. You're here early, but we're not ready yet. And then Klingon leader guy flips over to drunk uncle and starts getting shitty.
Right. Whoops up on him and his second in command after they talk back. But does the practical, I want my protection money thing. I'm not going to get my protection money if I kill you. So I'll be back in a few days and you're going to have it done by then, or then people are going to die. So here's a motivation to work 24-hour shifts and have it all done. And they leave. And Archer has what he paid for, basically. And he also can just leave. And this is where we get to the big question, Peter. What the fuck is with this ship? And what the fuck is with Archer specifically? That he cannot, under any circumstance, evidently, help himself in involving himself in other species' conflicts with each other. It doesn't matter if he's breaking people out of fucking prisons. It doesn't matter if he's going to fucking Witcher 2 planet and helping out Yennefer solve for their planet being strip mined. Doesn't matter if it's a bunch of Klingons picking on a bunch of space gas miners. Every time these dudes, they're like, we must be freedom fighters for whoever's being oppressed.
I'm going to answer the question for you, and it's going to go into my big spiel for this episode and why I hated the fuck out of it. You have identified correctly that more often than not, the plot of Enterprise revolves around Archer and the crew saving the day. I cannot shake the mental image, the metaphor that has been laid on us by one of our international listeners. The overwhelming American overtones of the show, right?
Yeah.
This paladin, we're going to swoop in, we're going to protect the weak, we're going to uphold justice, we're going to do right, we're going to Walker, Texas Ranger, all up in this bitch. I'm tired of seeing it. It's getting real fucking annoying. And as I'm sitting here dissecting this stuff, there's some real dumb shit going on in here. Take everything you just said. They decide that they're going to champion the cause of who's the first ones up to bat. And this is maybe something we need to really go episode by episode on at some point. But most notably, you got the Suliban where he got involved in that. Who else was there?
Well, there was the Suliban resistance in the premiere that he was trying to help.
Yeah, but that's overshadowed by what happened with the Grot colony. Fallen Hero, we already talked about. Vox Sola's not applicable. Detained, that's the jailbreak on the Suliban.
Right.
Oasis, which one was that?
Oasis? That was the one where they found
Crash
Rene
Star Destroyer. Where,
yeah.
Okay.
Rene Abenjero's planet.
Inserts himself in that, right? And we're gonna paladin our way through this and save this young girl and blah blah blah. Fuck Acquisition, Generations, Rogue Planet.
That was another. Yeah, got stuck their dick in that too.
Fusion, and that one specifically, they're assisting the Wraiths, right? But that's important for other reasons. Fusion was T'Pol and the science Cenobites. Shuttle Pod 1 doesn't have anything to it. Shadows of Pajem. Who did they help there? I guess they helped both sides, right? They were told to go away, but they decided to help the Vulcans after all. And then they were at odds with the Andorians and ended up helping the Andorians.
They they stick their dick in that one and made no one happy with them.
Sure, that's how you know it's been a good dick sticking when nobody's happy with it.
No one's pleased to see it.
Which gets called out in this episode. That's one where they go on the ship and save people. Dear Doctor. Which one was Civilization? Oh, that's a Planet Andorian incident. Terra Nova. They went in and relocated the Terra Novan, or the Novans. Unexpected was the hand baby. Okay, so Enterprise swoops in. They save the day. If, and only if, the people they are trying to help say, no, leave us alone. If the oppressed victim tries to wave away Archer's help, then Archer starts with this, I don't like bullies. I don't feel right what's going on here. We have to help these people. I'm going to involve the ship to ridiculous portions to the point where I've got everybody from the fucking ship on the surface of this planet as we disassemble the entire town and move it 8 miles south or whatever the fuck happens, right?
They like rotated it 50 meters.
But if the oppressed victim seeks out their help, specifically desert crossing, then Archer wants nothing to do with it and tries to retreat, no matter what the other side is doing, including shooting at his ship, shooting at him with fucking artillery, him witnessing war crimes. Okay, it is fucking ridiculous. The extreme lengths that Archer goes to be a good guy, if he is inserting himself in a situation where he is not wanted. In this specifically, they're like, listen, get the fuck out of here. We do not want to fight with these Klingons. They've already killed a bunch of us. Even, and this will get brought up a little later, even if you do somehow scare them away or like stand into like, you know, hey, quit being a bully, leave them alone. Like you will leave and they will come back and they will fuck us up. Great for them to stay away. Archer still gets involved. This episode, the other big thing I fucking hate about it, go back through the who's who of bad guys that we are condemning, all right? Colonel Grot and all those guys, right? The reasonable, fascist.
Yeah, the very reasonable jackbooted thugs who are willing to give Archer intelligence on a clear enemy of Earth. Yeah.
Right? The fucking bad guys from Desert Crossing. And again, Desert Crossing, you know, they kind of muddy things. Like, can you really trust what Clancy Brown was talking about? Hard to say. But the other side does establish itself as unreasonable.
And untrustworthy, too. And violent.
And untrustworthy. But they still don't really paint them. There's enough rickety ground there that you can't get a clear shake on things. All the other times we've gone back and said, you're giving us bad guys that you and I cannot say, this is a clear bad guy.
Right.
This is a bad dude, right? Colonel Grot, not bad. The fucking Dick Sporting Good guys from whatever the fucking Pokemon episode.
The Rogue Planet episode, yeah.
Over and over and over again, the bad guys are not really great at being bad. There's always something sympathetic. Until this fucking episode, you've got Klingons.
They're space pirates.
They're space pirates. So they've got these guys held captive. They have killed in combat 3 of them. And then they executed 4 more, right? These guys are fucking evil. These guys are like chaotic evil.
They are clearly willing to murder and have done so and are unbothered.
By the end of the episode, not that Archer sees it, but we as the audience see that these guys are looking to kill a fucking kid to send a message. And you're telling me in this episode, now all of a sudden Archer, you know, oh no, we got to be careful with it. It's fucking ridiculous that the rest of this episode is basically the plot of Home Alone.
Yes!
Archer's not willing to fucking kill 8 people or give these guys the guns to kill 8 people and be done with these fucking bullies, these murdering bullies.
They make such a point of pointing out that these guys are for real Klingons who kill people, and go out of their way to have T'Pol say in the episode, clear as a bell, straight up, the only way out of this circumstance is if you fucking kill them. They're Klingons. They don't take L's. That's not what they do. They're not going to fuck off. They're going to either succeed or die. Those are the options. And then have the temerity, after establishing both of these factoids explicitly through dialogue in the episode, treat it like a comedy sideshow in your preparation of these colonists to defend their lives and livelihoods. Like, it was so discordant of them going through this stupid Army of Darkness training montage where they're learning how to like shoot their shitty guns or like do basic dodging in the Vulcan martial arts.
We have 2 days to get ready. We're going to have a shit montage where you guys are shooting at Luke's training drone in engineering. And then, Disco T'Pol is going to show you all the hottest new dance steps on Vulcan and how to dodge a batleth. Like, whatever bullshit training these people are getting drafted or getting in Russia, like 2 days and then you're off on the battlefield to get fucking blown up. I don't know who's got it worse. The fucking people on Klendathu or these guys dying over there. Like, it's insultingly stupid. So now you've got a population that says, this is really dangerous. Please leave us the fuck alone. You've got murderer, bad guy Klingons who also, by the way, let's just say, well, hey, you know what? Archer might have been cool with killing those guys in all the strafing runs when he blew up Colonel Grot's prison camp, right? The shuttle came down and it shot its lasers and it blew up part of the fucking prison on top of whatever that bomb at the end of the hallway that they exploded killed, right? I just lost my train of thought. Yeah, they've killed a lot of people along the way. The Clancy Brown's the legitimate state that was shooting artillery. They blew those guys up. They killed those guys.
Yeah.
But those are just no name fucking aliens.
Yeah.
Who cares about them? These are Klingons. We can't just go Klingons. This is a new thing. We're trying to establish diplomatic blah blah blah. These are fucking pirates.
Yeah.
They even say in there, like, I doubt these guys report to high command. Even if you were to go and hit up Klingon high command and be like, hey, we saved Debo's life, and also when we got involved in sleeping dogs, another incident where we were specifically told do not help, and I got involved anyways, right?
Yeah, and I know that they didn't like that I helped them.
Because if people say no, only then do I care about helping them. Let's trade in some of our goodwill boons, our some of our Mickey Mouse money with the Klingons, and tell them, hey, leave this little colony alone. These pirates are not going to listen to what high command says. I think reasonably, ergo, hey, if we just fucking gank these guys and throw them in a ditch somewhere, no one's going to come asking about them. You can kill them scot-free.
And that would be the actual answer if this was a Western, is we're going to fucking bang it out with these dudes, and then we're going to find a deep hole, we're going to put their bodies in there, and that's going to be the end of it. And that's how you solve this problem, and that is what T'Pol says.
Or you leave it alone, you respect the wishes of the colonists who are dealing with things on their own terms, because we cannot be here to guard them forever. And that's kind of the same thing we got from Dear Doctor. Let's cut off the ending that you don't want to talk about. T'Pol right there, like, you can help these people, but you might be stuck here on this planet helping them triage this situation for hundreds of years. That's what happened to Vulcan. We got involved in domestic affairs on one planet, and now we're stuck in for the long game. He even acknowledges, like, oh yeah, that's why you can't just swoop in and try and fix people's problems for them. You get dragged into this shit. So, okay, what are we going to do? Are we just going to kill these guys? No. We're going to make this Rube Goldberg fucking plan of how we're going to scare, I'm air quoting, we're going to scare these Klingons straight.
The plan, as we noted, is this weird rope-a-dope idea where if they rotate the village around, it will appear like it did before, but in a slightly different place. And the Klingons, they don't think they would notice. And in doing this, they wouldn't know the position of the used fuel tanks, where there's a whole bunch of explosive space gas that could then be ignited to kill them. Like they need to be brought in front of the liquid hydrogen truck in Terminator 2. Like, this is the only way we can kill the T-1000. Like, they're just dudes who are stronger than most dudes. You just gotta fucking shoot them. You just have to stab them. They don't need a trap, right? And they've got all these guns, and they treat it like they're playing a game of Mousetrap. They're just trying to get you in the spot so they can pull the trigger on the machine, and they can be intimidated into leaving. Something the show went out of their way to tell you twice would not work. Twice.
Well, Archer sells the oil guys on this. There's a little speech next to some broken piece of equipment. Archer, comes in like a cowboy. America fuck yeahs them up real well. And the guy's like, all right, well, let's do this. Let's bring down everybody from my ship. Let's disassemble the entire village. Let's move this whole fucking town over again. 8 guys. Meanwhile, while I'm literally moving a city by hand, we're going to start taking your people for this bullshit montage where we've already talked about it, where we get ninja rolling class with Professor Catsuit.
Of course.
Okay. We've got the aforementioned rifle training in the armory. Again, you're teaching their guys how to shoot guns. I'm guessing these are actually like laser guns and not like tickle guns or silly string guns. Like, if you're teaching them to shoot better with a gun, it's with the assumption that they might actually hit someone and probably kill them. So already this whole fucking thing, if you're teaching them how to fucking shoot the guns, just give them good guns.
Yeah, just give them phasers. Just do it.
Starfleet's got blood on its hands. Starfleet has already actively murdered other people out in the galactic community because they were bullies and this and that and boo-hoo. Just fucking gank these guys. Stupid. He gives a little rousing speech. Oh, the leader goes like, I'm so scared, this and that. Archer's like, yeah, well, these evil fucking Suluban, and I was, I didn't want to be a part of this, but now I am. Funny, you completely omit the other part where you're like, those Suluban don't really seem to be that bad after all. And even after I thought I was at war with the Suluban, I went to war with another people to protect the Suluban, so
I have complex feelings about these people.
Yeah, I guess I just like a fight. Any fight that I'm not invited to is a fight I want to be. The only thing gets my dick limp is when someone says, please help me, and then I go, that's a fight I don't want.
After this combat scene that has less violence than a Looney Tunes cartoon, they, quote, herd the Klingons into the trap, which appears to be them walking down a valley and the Klingons very patiently walking along the side of the valley and just kind of looking at them for 3 shots in a row.
Reed is also actively there with a sniper rifle shooting at these guys, not hitting shit.
On purpose, because their plan is not to kill them, which makes no sense.
Here's a bunch of here's a bunch of super violent Klingons with swords and guns. Our plan, again, right out of the pages of fucking Home Alone, we're going to throw rocks at their head and hit them in the face with sticks. And when they start swinging,
a string to like make them fall over as they try and chase after you, and then bonk them on the head once.
I'm trying to think of other.
Throw a rock at them and then run from them as they try and stab you to death.
I'm trying to think of the Home Alone traps that they could have used. In reality, as a 40-year-old, go back and watch Home Alone, and you're like, every single thing that Kevin does to Joe Pesci and the other guy, you're like, that would kill this person instantly. You cannot hit someone in the face with a can of paint. Everything in Home Alone is 100% more lethal than what they're doing to these Klingons at this point. These Klingons who have murdered
7
of them.
Yeah.
What
7
great
of them.
Restraint we're seeing here. Finally, they lure him out, and again, the whole trap is supposed to culminate with we get him in basically next to the red barrels that if we shoot them, they'll blow up.
Right, exactly.
But they're not going to blow up in a way that's going to kill them. It's just going to trap them in a ring of fire. So that's what happens. They get him out. Oh, I'm sorry. I also brushed through a point where we had to have T'Pol do her best Bloodsport impersonation.
She shows up in the middle of the fight like she's Sonya Blade, has just been picked in Street Fighter, and then just hiya, 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 ooh, Hadouken. I know
she had a headband on, so you can't see she's a Vulcan, so they got operational security here.
I know it's mixed my fighting game metaphors, but you get the point. She does her stunt double does some basic ass martial arts at this Klingon and knocks him down. Whatever.
The people, they're up in the mountains. They have the high ground, right?
Yeah.
They've got clear line of fire. All 7 or 8 of the Klingons are standing in a group. You could have thrown a grenade and fucking taken them all. This is complete ridiculousness. They get close. They kick the head of the well. They're like, oh gosh, this seems weird. And then they stand around, they look at it until they finally push the button. They blow up the bomb. And the bad guys the bullies get circled in a ring of fire. And then head oil driller guy comes out and says, basically, we're tired of you being mean. You better leave us alone or else. And while they've got him trapped in this ring of fire, I'm like, why don't the Klingons just like transport
behind them? Just transport right behind them.
6 feet to the left.
Yeah.
And then go fuck these, or let alone just transport up there and kick their fucking asses. And instead the Klingons like, you're going to get away with it this time, but your oil sucks and it's not fit for a garbage scow.
We out. It makes no sense. These guys essentially use no effort in trying to actually exterminate the oil people and use none of their capability or technology, as the episode itself has established, to overcome what can be best described as mildly annoying resistance.
Do you remember a movie called Avatar?
I do.
It was really fucking stupid and I hated it. Because at the end, after the the Meow Meow space kitties with their space lasers slapped the colonial marines on their ass, right? They lost the mech war, and they're like, well, here's this big planet full of resources that we really want, but the space kitties have made it impossible to mine. It's the best unobtainium in the universe. It's worth us doing, what, a 10-year sleep to fly out there?
Mm-hmm.
Do we, A, just fly away having learned our lesson, or do we, B, nuke this fucking planet from orbit, and then we can mine it with robots that can survive the radiation? Because there's no way that Avatar happens. They don't just nuke the fucking planet from orbit and get rid of all the annoying space cats. Same deal here. Okay, you don't want to sell gas to me? You're going to fucking trap me in a ring of fire? Do I go away and just leave you alone? Or I go, you know what? Klingons don't take L's. Nuke them from orbit.
Of course, if they don't just transport 6 feet to the left and then murder them all with batleths, they just transport up and in a fit of pique terminate the entire place with extreme prejudice. They don't just leave. That is not actually the response of the characters, and I'm saying this for like the third or fourth time, because it's important that this isn't just because we know Klingons from the past, or we have some inference of continuity from prior episodes. It is in this episode, these guys are so petty they murdered 7 of them for resisting.
They're going to kill a kid because they are petty and they want to punish them further. These guys are fucking evil. So they get scared away like cartoon characters. And then, as if the episode can't get any fucking worse, the guy's like, oh, gee, you really saved the day, Lone Ranger. Thanks. And then, hey, here's all this extra gasoline. Well, hey, you know, my agreement was only for 20 liters, and that's 200 liters. Well, you earned it. Cool. And then he gets in his shuttlecraft and flies away without taking the extra fucking gas. That's how sloppy the fucking script is.
Yeah, just no, not even a mention to beam it up, you know, or whatever. You know, like not even covering it with like an 80-yard line afterwards. You know.
Yeah, go send the shuttle pod 2 back down. There's not enough room in this one. This is the new weakest shit.
We are early in the season, and you've already got some pretty firm
but I mean,
picks.
Do you get it? Like the first time we have ever given for real evil aliens. The only other time we've had for real evil aliens was the guys that were in Silent Enemy, right? That were just abducting people, butt probing them into comas, like malicious evil aliens. These are Klingons. They're slavers. They're murderers. They're assholes. They're bullies. All this other stuff. Archer's complete refusal to kill him when he's got so much blood on his hand. These guys told...
When he gets agreement out of T'Pol that it's like correct to stop them. And points out like they just got to be killed. Let's just kill them. That's what you got to do. They're fucking Klingons. And
the ending and the steps they go through to resolve this, to do everything stupid, to move a fucking town instead of killing people. Again, it can only be matched by shit that I saw in like Saturday morning cartoons. This is
like what they should have done is they should have had the shuttlecraft be like forced to land there or something like that, or like Enterprise had to flee. And so they're stuck there with limited resources and they have to help the townspeople resist, you know, a larger amount of assailants and try and take them out. And the episode shouldn't have necessarily been Klingons as the bad guys. It should have been Nausicaan tier dudes that you could actually foresee running away.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the worst possible way to do this entire episode, from starting with, I don't know what minute point it was where we actually like go off the rails into stupidness, but I don't know, man. Or maybe this could have been another like Federation building moment where the people actually ask for help in a rare change. Man, I meant to sing "Change of the Heart." I was so mad I forgot to sing. Where they say, "Hey, listen, please help us. These guys are every time they come down, we're short on oil. They murder one of us. Like, give us space weapons. We want to band up with Earth. We'll supply your ships. Please, we need protection." And Archer to start getting involved in some fucking space politics. And maybe he doesn't feel great about it, but he had to. And that could have been like a bittersweet ending. It's just
or just like the first time Earth's like, we're gonna need friends and we're gonna need fueling stations if we're gonna go out here and do this shit. Like, you know, this is an ally
Could
worth
have been the
having.
Terra Nova idea we had all over again. There's an outpost out there. It's got stuff we want. It needs our help, whether it knows it or not. Awful. This is a trash episode. I fucking hated this thing.
Just completely falls apart after Act 1. No effort put into the finale into in a fashion becomes darkly comedic as incompetence, and more evidence as to why no one watched the show no one was watching the show anymore when it finally got good. So
I will go ahead and mention that by the end, the child plot line that shall not be mentioned. Trip's like, hey, I can't give you that tour of the ship, but I got one better. Here's a fucking data pad with all of our schematics. Wow, thanks. I really hope that thing somehow comes back to haunt him. Like, Romulans get a hold of it, or fucking Suluban saboteurs, or someone's like, how could they have such detailed fucking blueprints of the Enterprise? And Trip like, ooh.
I did like that there was a moment of continuity that reestablished that Hoshi was bad at shooting in season 1, and she learned how to shoot from Reed, and then was able to impart that knowledge of her own, like, oh no, I know the mistake you're making because you're a bunch of fucking amateurs like I was. Like, okay, neat.
Cool.
I like
the
that
whole
you
day to practice. Here, get good, noob.
Yeah. Listen, let's get down to business. If you want to defeat the Huns, that's what that was. What do we watch next week, Peter?
We're going into season 2, episode 7, the 7th episode. T'Pol asks Archer to accompany her on a top secret mission to capture a fugitive that has eluded the Vulcan High Command for 2 decades. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, based on what I just saw in this episode, they'll put a piece of cheese on the ground, and there'll be like a fucking box with a stick holding it up, and on the stick's a wire, and then they'll be up in the fucking mountains, and you'll just be like, just beam the guy into the fucking brig. Like, what's going on here?
Well, we'll be disappointed together here on V'ger, please.
I mean, really, I can't let this go, though. Like, you didn't watch this real time. You said you went in,
No.
You started watching where they're at. You were like, this is good. And then once you completed, then you punished yourself by watching season 2, which is very quickly going to be starting. I'm going to start calling it season poo. Move over, season sucks. There's a new trash season in town. I'm flabbergasted that anybody would bother watching this thing week in and week out. Like, the good episodes that we've had in this season. Season 1 was not bad.
No, it wasn't
Season
terrible.
2 is hitting fucking like low lows. Season 2's playing by Voyager rules, where like they're not afraid to get like Picard bad. And again, this is coming out of your top management here, man. This isn't throwaway guess, guys.
It's hard to repeat what we already did, which was, this is why the show got canceled. It just fucked itself into the dirt so hard. By the time it started to pull itself out, it was way too late, you know? And we'll continue to review it. We're going to get through it. You and me, buddy. We can do this, okay? You and me. We got this. We're going to make it. We've been tested in the fires, and we're ready. We're ready for this. We're not ready for this. We'll see you next week.